Oh, come on, you know what it is. Thank you all for being with us. I'm only going to get a few more chances to say pay-per-view week, and we got a big one coming up. Championship doubleheader for UFC 320. Thanks for being here for our DraftKings UFC 320 betting breakdown. I'm Jon Anik alongside the esteemed DraftKings content creator, Tanner Kern. You look good today, Tanner. You look TK. You look ready to go. How we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling ready to go. I wish I had that hoodie on, though. That's a nice hoodie.
Everybody wants this hoodie. I don't know if Jeff Galius or somebody in the back can help out our producer, Cody Merrow, or our guy, Tanner. Cody was like, man, is that lime green? I think it's the DraftKings off-white hoodie. But yes, this one draws compliments wherever I go. So we got to get a medium sent to Tanner Kern. Are you a medium? What size you wear?
XL. I'm a big boy.
How tall are you?
6'4". I used to be 340 too. 340, down to 210 now.
Good for you, man. When was the last time you were 340 pounds? I know this isn't in the rundown, but this is exciting.
Like 5-6 years ago.
Good for you, man. That's incredible. So it's interesting because, yeah, you look lean and mean, but I would have no way of knowing whether you were 5'9" like me wearing a medium or 6'4". And oftentimes in the podcasting world and during the global pandemic, you ended up meeting people over video, and you and I have not met in person. Kid 6'4". I mean, I would do anything to be 6'4" for 24 hours, never mind a lifetime. But congratulations, man, on the weight loss and getting in shape. That's absolutely incredible. But I know that people have tuned in to hear about Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, not necessarily about Tanner Kern and Jon Anik. So to that end, we got two title fights. We're going to break it down largely from a betting perspective today. So it's always interesting when you have a rematch, and that is our reality in this main event. Magomed Ankalaev is now the champion out of the red corner. Alex Pereira is now the challenger. First fight went the distance, closer than I think a lot of people perceive. It was back in March. But Ankalaev's now the champ, Tanner, and as such, he is the minus 258 betting favorite or so right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. The comeback on Poatan plus 210. What kind of action are we seeing from a betting perspective, and what are your expectations for the rematch?
We're seeing really good two-way action on this fight, and we have since these lines opened. 41% of the bets and 60% of the handle coming in on Alex Pereira can indicate some sharp money there on him. But I see this fight going in favor of the champion once again. And I go back to the control time from the first fight. He had 5 minutes and 42 seconds of control time. He really dominated the grappling on the cage. And for that reason, it's really hard to go with Alex Pereira. Both guys are going to land big shots in this fight. We know that. We saw it in the first one. But when it comes down to it, I'll take the strong grappler who is quicker and can definitely shrink the cage in a better way than Alex Pereira. So I just overall, I think for the value, it's really hard to take the money line price because it is so juiced, but I'll take Ankalaev to win by decision here for plus 120. I think that's a really fair price for that. And I do see this one going 5 rounds just because of the fact that both these guys have really strong chins, and we saw it in that first fight. It was back and forth all night. I do think it's going to be tight, but I will give the decision to Ankalaev.
No, that's well done and well laid out, and you gave us sort of a lot to chew on. I think the control time is actually worth leaning into here, even though he was 0 for 12 in that takedown column. He was constantly forcing the issue all night, and, we'll see the extent to which Poatan is biting off more than he can chew here at 38 years of age. Much has been made of his out-of-octagon schedule, but I think that camp's going to make some adjustments. I do think there are going to be people who are appetized at Poatan north of plus 200, but, Magomed Ankalaev hasn't lost a fight in a very long time, and, he is favored to get it done this weekend. A few other items of note. Ankalaev by knockout or TKO or DQ is plus 250. Alex Pereira by knockout or TKO DQ is plus 300. So a little bit of a bump there if you like Alex Poatan to get it done by knockout. Pereira by decision is plus 900. And I think that's kind of interesting just based upon your forecast of a 25-minute fight. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go the distance. And given the close nature of the first fight, maybe some better see some value on Alex Pereira at plus 900 to win by decision. All right. Co-main event for the undisputed bantamweight championship of the world. And I am so fascinated how bettors are going to handle Merab Dvalishvili. It's interesting to see how odds makers handle this man who seemingly is half machine and half human being. We actually talked to Ray Longo on the Anik and Florian podcast earlier this week, and he says they've been drug testing the heck out of Merab to try to maybe prove that the kid's not human. This is his third title defense, Tanner. It's been amazing to watch sort of this combination of pressure and his motor and the durability and the different finishing skills now. 13 straight wins. He's minus 375 or so. Corey Sandhagen, the challenger, is plus 295. What are your thoughts on the co-main event at UFC 320?
There's a small group of people who think Corey Sandhagen has a really good chance of winning this fight, probably one of the best chances in the division against Merab, but Merab's nicknamed the machine for a reason. He just simply doesn't stop. 86% of the handle, 91% of the bets coming in on Merab to win this fight. And when you just look at the betting odds right now on DraftKings, Merab by decision minus 200, Merab by submission plus 750, which I think is pretty interesting. I just don't necessarily see it happening. And then Merab to win by knockout plus 650. So bookmakers are expecting this one to go the distance and for Merab to get the job done. When you look at just Merab against Sean O'Malley in that second fight, when O'Malley came out to God bless the USA, I really thought that he was going to have a chance in that fight, and it just did not go that way. Merab found a way to be even better in the second fight against O'Malley than in the first fight. And I think Corey Sandhagen, he struggled against elite grapplers in his career. You look at his fight against Umar, really did not go very well. And then when you look at Merab, he's a level above Umar when it comes to pretty much every ounce of the octagon. So I think this one's not going to really go well for Corey Sandhagen. I simply see Merab dominating this fight. And the betting lines make it tough here. I think it's a good parlay piece, Merab to win by a decision for minus 200. I would potentially think about sprinkling the submission at plus 750, but I think Merab's going to get it done. However you want to bet it, go for it. He's the better fighter here, and Corey's going to have a tough night.
Yeah, and you say it respectfully when it comes to Corey Sandhagen, who can be had, by the way, at plus 2,800 to win by submission. Crazier things have happened in a mixed martial arts octagon than Corey Sandhagen finding a leg and catching Merab off guard as maybe he's showboating to the crowd. I'm just saying, but your points are well taken on Merab Dvalishvili. And, you know, Corey Sandhagen has put in the championship training camp of a lifetime. He can draw on the Umar Nurmagomedov experience, and you're wise, Tanner, to call on it here, but that footage is pretty damning for Corey Sandhagen, right, going into this particular matchup. And if he can't get anything done against this individual, guy as experienced as Corey Sandhagen, right, 8th straight main event or title fight for Sandhagen, who fought for the interim championship against Petr Yan back in 2021. Has all the elite striking, cardio, all the best minds and training partners. And if this fight is as one-sided as you and others expect it to be, you know, then maybe Kenny Florian will be right, and Merab Dvalishvili isn't going to lose the belt until he actually retires from the sport. Fight to go the distance, yes, is minus 280. No is plus 195 if you're not interested in actually falling on a side. Well, as always, in advance of these monumental live events, we got a good offer for new customers. DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of UFC, and right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app now and use code TKO when you sign up. The crown is yours. All right, so we always talk about the depth of these fight cards. I think we're going 13 deep at UFC 320. So beyond the title fights, a lot of compelling matchups. Among the highlights, Joe Pyfer live on pay-per-view to kick things off at middleweight, squares off against Abus Magomedov. Former light heavyweight champ Yuri Prochazka taking on Khalil Roundtree Jr. That should just be pure chaos. I don't know predictively which way it'll go. And then Josh Emmett is 40 years of age, but still getting it done in many respects. He returns here against Yusuf Zalal. Some prelim opportunities, I would think, as well. Tanner, we know you're trying to do right by the DraftKings Sportsbook audience, the users, the UFC fans out there. Anything pique your interest other than the 2 title fights at UFC 320?
Yeah, for my favorite underdog of the night, I have to go to Khalil Roundtree Jr. for plus 150 against Yuri Prochazka. I just love Khalil's opportunity coming into this fight. It's a light heavyweight eliminator match. You know, there's a really good chance, depending on what happens in the main event, the winner of this fight could be the next up for the belt here. And Khalil Roundtree, you looked in his fight in Baku, he was just fantastic against Jamal Hill, really surgical, diabolical, just picking apart Jamal Hill. And we know Yuri can beat Jamal Hill too. So this is going to be a very competitive fight. But I was able to sit down with Khalil Roundtree a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, you know, what does this fight mean to you? What does the belt mean to you, your quest for it? And he said everything. And, you know, I think we saw that in the Baku fight. He was really focused, and it was a different Khalil Roundtree than we had seen in previous versions here. So I am going to take Khalil to win. I also love over 1.5 rounds in this fight. You can get that for minus 120 right now, just because of the fact that for him to win, I think it's going to favor him if it gets to the third round. Obviously, Yuri wants those knockouts early, and as long as Khalil can handle that onslaught, I do think he has a really good chance in this fight, not only to win it, but to potentially win it by a decision. You can get that for plus 450, or by knockout in the third round for plus 320 right now. So I really am high on Khalil coming in this fight just because of the mindset. Losing to Alex, I think, changed him, and we saw that in the Jamal Hill fight. If he keeps that going, builds on it here, there's no reason he can't be fighting for the belt very, very soon.
And I don't have to ask Yuri Prochazka in the fighter meeting about the championship landscape right now to know that he's going to just not take the bait and not want to have that conversation. And certainly the focus needs to be inward and on this fight. Given what Carlos Ulberg did over the weekend, I think these guys are going to get asked a lot about that result and what maybe they need to do. But you're right, Khalil Roundtree Jr., just focus on getting a green stripe on your Wikipedia page. You can't focus on the style points or if your next fight's going to be for the title, because there's so many intangibles with injuries and everything else. So we'll see if Roundtree Jr. can come up large as the underdog. A lot of the sharp minds, including Tanner Kearns that I've been tapping into, seem to like the underdog value on him. All right. So I've been doing this show a while. We now have a little bit of a parlay segment, which is wicked exciting. So traditionally, I'm on the record when I bet baseball and football. I'm contractually prevented from betting on MMA. But when I bet baseball and football, I'm a straight wager guy. But parlays are fun, and certainly depending on where your bankroll is, it can be a nice way to sort of quadruple, if not, 10x your bankroll. So I know you've done your handicapping, and we appreciate you doing it early here during the week. So I'm going to let you attack the board, and you're going to start with a money line parlay, as I understand it.
Yep, money line parlay. I'm high on the favorites here. I was high on them last time we did the show, and it worked out pretty well for me. So we're going to go plus 650 here. We'll go from the main event down. So we'll go Ankalaev, Merab, Khalil Roundtree, Youssef Joe Pyfer. We talked about Ankalaev. I think he's going to shorten the distance here, find a way to win the control time, and ultimately just go on to win the fight and win the second one between those two. Merab is a machine. Corey Sandhagen is going to struggle there. Again, we talked about him, and same thing with Khalil Roundtree too. He's the one dog I have on here, and I just think ultimately if this gets to the third round, he has a really good chance of winning it, and for plus money, it's going to boost up the parlay. The two fights we have not talked about, Youssef, overall just a younger fighter, hungrier fighter. He can win in multiple ways too, and that's the biggest difference between him and his opponent there. And then Joe Pyfer, knockout artist, and I love Abus Magomedov, but the bottom line is Pyfer is going to be looking for those early shots and those early knockdowns, and I just don't think Magomedov can hang in there with his striking. So getting really good value on those guys on the money line there. So put it all together plus 650, and hopefully it works out well in our favor.
Yeah, a little chalky, but I understand all of your rationale. One underdog, as you mentioned, Khalil Roundtree Jr. And then we got a crown is yours prop parlay. So this is a 3-leg offering. We don't have all the exact odds. Maybe you do have some of these, but you're getting a DK profit boost with a 3-legger here. So what have you laid out for the masses, my man?
Yeah, so I like Youssef by sub, Merab by decision, Joe Pyfer by knockout. Youssef by sub, again, can win in multiple ways. Josh Emmett, very heavy-handed. I think he needs a knockout to win this one, where you go on the other side here. Youssef can win in multiple ways. 9 of his 17 professional fights have been by submission, so I think he can pick up another one here. Merab, relentless pace. Again, I think this is my favorite bet of the night. I know it's very chalky at minus 200, but him winning by decision is a really good bet in my mind, just because I think Corey's going to be able to survive on the ground, but Merab will continue with the pace, looking for submissions. I don't know if he'll get there, but ultimately I do see this one going 5 rounds and going in his favor in decision. And then Joe Pyfer's elite finishing ability, elite knockout power early in the fight is going to make the difference here against Magomedov. So really enjoy these fights. I think they're going to be really exciting to watch, but ultimately it's going to go in favor of Joe Pyfer getting a knockout, Merab for decision, and then Youssef by submission. And we don't have odds on that right now for the whole parlay, but hopefully we'll have them soon and be ready to go.
All right, and real quickly, I just want to say, as a guy who has lived in many pockets of the United States, I don't say this because of the setting in which we're in. Far and away, the most options you are getting in a sportsbook is the DraftKings Sportsbook application. Even right now, if you would like to bet on Carlos Ulberg to end 2026 as the light heavyweight champion, for example, that number is available at plus 400. I'm just telling you. Like, there's nothing like an NFL Sunday. Me on the DraftKings Sportsbook application, I just got to stop making donations. I got to have a profitable weekend. I haven't had one yet in the NFL. All right, before we get on out of here with Tanner Kern, time for Cash on the Canvas. Maybe my favorite name for a segment of all time. Maybe we should rename the DraftKings betting breakdown Cash on the Canvas. Or I don't know if there's like a negative connotation with like my cash on the floor. my NFL money on the floor constantly. But cash on the canvas, if you could make one singular bet or parlay for the main card, what would it be?
Well, I gave you two last time. So I think I got to give you two here again. I'll give you a parlay and a straight bet. My favorite straight bet is going to be Yuri versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. to go over 1.5 rounds. Again, I talked about it earlier on the show. I just think Khalil Roundtree is going to be so surgical, so diabolical in this fight. It's going to stretch it to the third round and ultimately cash this bet. And, he can win it there for sure. But really like over 1.5 rounds. And then if you're going to parlay, I do like that in the parlay. Also adding in Zalal on the money line and then Merab on the money line too. That gets it up to plus 182. And as you were talking about with that profit boost, John, that's going to be really, really lucrative for you if it comes through. So again, Zalal, the younger fighter. Merab is just a machine. And then I really like Khalil Roundtree Jr. to be able to stay alive long enough to get this over 1.5 rounds. Great job with the breakdown, Tanner Kern, content creator for DraftKings. And I'm telling you, when I retire from the UFC, I'm doing a 13-fight parlay on every single fight card amongst my straight wagers as well. But hopefully that gives you some angles from which to attack UFC 320 this weekend. We appreciate you all watching the UFC 320 betting breakdown presented by DraftKings. Our producer is Cody Merrow. Thanks to the entire DraftKings squad, Jeff Galius and the rest. For Tanner Kern, I'm Jon Anik. We will see you live on pay-per-view Saturday night. Enjoy the fights.